How can you add fractions with unlike denominators? Think about this question during the lesson. Alex rode his scooter from his house to the park. Later, he rode from the park to baseball practice. How far did Alex ride his scooter? Let's find out. How does the map help you solve the problem? It shows each distance Alex rode. What operation should you use to find how far he rode? Add 1/2 and 1/3 to find the total distance Alex rode his scooter. How do you know this is an addition problem? Because it gives two distances that must be added together to find out how far Alex rode. How do you add fractions with unlike denominators? You need to change the fractions to equivalent fractions with a common denominator. What is a common denominator? A common denominator is one that is the same for two or more fractions. Why do you need to find a common denominator? You need to find a common denominator to add like parts of the same whole. If the denominators are different, you can't combine the parts. How do you find the least common denominator? The least common denominator, LCD, of two fractions is the least common multiple, LCM, of the denominators. So, the first step is to list the multiples of the two denominators. What is the least common multiple of 2 and 3? 6 is the least common multiple of 2 and 3. So, 6 is the least common denominator of 1/2 and 1/3. What is another common denominator of 2 and 3 you could use to add the fractions? 12 is another common denominator, but not the least common denominator. The next step is to find equivalent fractions for 1/2 and 1/3 with 6 as the least common denominator. Why do you have to write equivalent fractions to add? You write equivalent fractions to keep the same values as found in the original fractions. How do you find an equivalent fraction? To find an equivalent fraction, you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. 2 times what number equals 6? 2 times 3 equals 6. So, multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. Now, find the equivalent fraction for 1/3 with the least common denominator of 6. 3 times 2 equals 6. So multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. How do you add fractions with common denominators? Add only the numerators and write the sum over the common denominator. Simplify if necessary. Alex rode his scooter 5/6 of a mile.